guys, welcome back to TezMania TV. In today's episode of DIY or Die, you're gonna watch me transform myself into Ursula, the sea hag from the Little Mermaid for Stockholm Comiccon 2019. This is part 1 out of 2 videos, and in today's video I'm gonna be focusing on making the outfit and the accessories. Part 2 is gonna be about hair, makeup, and the expo itself. Hope you enjoy. So I started out by making a simple sketch of what I wanted my Ursula to look like. And I narrowed it down to 5 different elements: the wig, the makeup, the jewelry, the tentacle outfit, and a bolero. And like I said, we're going to do the 3 last ones in this video. So wig and makeup for the next one. We're going to start off with the Flotsam and Jetsam bolero, which is actually my purse. I used this nice, soft, stretchy blue fabric and black and the same kind of fabric for details. I also used some pillow stuffing to give them some shape and a blue zipper for a hidden compartment inside the bolero. I also used white and yellow ribbon for the eyes. First thing I did was make a really simple sketch of the head of these ugly little creatures, and then I double folded that fabric, cut around my stencil, and then all the way back, turning them into a bolero instead of 2 separate creatures. I just thought that was more handy. And I'm cutting 2 identical pieces just like this. So once I have my first one, I'm placing the second one over double folded fabric as well. And then I'm just going to pin them together. This fabric I like to scrunch up, so this took some time. And then I'm cutting a little hidden pocket out that matches the length of the zipper. I'm gonna start by sewing the pocket together, and then I'm cutting out some fin details in the black fabric. And then I'm pinning everything together at once. This took a lot of time because the fabric really wanted to roll up, so I was cursing through the entire process of this. So yeah, pinning everything together with the insides facing outwards. So the main body pieces and the fins are all being pinned here. And I'm leaving a hole for where the pocket is gonna go. And that is also how we're gonna be able to flip this back the correct way and stuff it. So I'm sewing everything together and then flipping it the correct way. Here is what it looks like now, and here's the hole for the pocket. So I'm gonna start by stuffing them a little bit with pillow stuffing and then shoving that little pocket in there. I have also pinned the zipper onto the pocket, and I'm going to sew the zipper on one side at a time. And yes, the pocket is supposed to be flipped inside out because you want the outside to be on the inside for this. And then I'm sewing the pocket on by hand. It was just a lot easier to do that using blue thread. And there we go, a hidden compartment inside that bolero. That's where I kept all my stuff throughout the entire expo. Next up, I cut the eye details out. I did 1 white and 1 yellow eye for both of the heads. And for this kind of ribbon, you seal the edges with fire. And I used a fabric marker to draw in the iris as well as the details of the faces. And then I just used a white t-shirt fabric to cut out the fangs. And I used textile glue to glue the eyes and fangs on. And the bolero is done. So we are moving on to the 2-piece tentacle outfit now. This was so much fun, but it took a lot of work to get it done. I used velvet for this, a black velvet as the main piece, and then a dark purple for the tentacles, and a lighter purple for the suction cup details. And again, I needed more of that pillow stuffing. I also used elastic ribbon for the waist and chest, as well as these bendable but pretty sturdy wires to have the tentacles keep their shape. The first thing I did was take the black fabric, fold it together, insides facing outwards, and measure out a super simple strapless tank top for myself. So I have 2 equal pieces now with the insides facing outwards, and I have 3 measurements. 1 is my chest, 1 is my hip, and 1 is my waist. So I'm going to sew those 2 sides together so that the main body of my top is completed. Then I'm creating a nice folded hemline for the bottom of the top and just sewing that on. And then for the chest, I'm using that elastic band, sewing it together by the edges, going back and forth a couple times just to make sure that it really stays together. And then just pinning that as close to the edge as possible so that I can flip it the correct way once it's time to wear it. So it looks kind of weird to sew it onto the outside, but once it's on, you flip this down and it becomes invisible and your tits stay in. So it's a very handy and simple way to make a strapless top like this. Then I began working on the skirt, starting with the waist measurement, and this fabric is double layered again, as you can tell, and then I just freehanded the shape of the tentacles. So I have 2 layers for the skirt right now, and I did 4 tentacles for each side because an octopus has 8, so yeah. And then I cut both of those layers out at the same time, and then I mirrored that onto the dark purple fabric, just using that black piece as a template. So this skirt has 4 layers all in all. I then proceeded to place one of the black halves of the skirt on top of one of the purple halves, with the insides facing outwards. I pinned them together, and then I'm only going to sew the tentacle part, not over the hips or up to the waist, and you'll see why in a second. So I did that for both pieces. Then I flipped both pieces back the correct way using a fork or some sharp tool to make sure that I got all the way out into the pointy edges of those tentacles. So we now have 2 skirt halves, and they're going to be sewn together. So I'm placing the black side against the other black side so that the interior of the purple is facing outwards. And then I pinned the 2 remaining sides together and then sewed those. So I'm sewing through 4 layers of fabric right now. And then I just flipped the skirt the correct way so the purple ended up on the inside and the black on the outside. Then it was time for the suction details, and I used that light purple fabric for that, and I cut out a lot of little purple details that I then proceeded to place on one tentacle at a time, going from bigger to smaller, and once I was happy with the placement, I glued them using textile glue, which set fast and was super easy and handy to work with. After that, it was time to stuff this little bad boy, and I started by using the wires, folding the edges together to avoid sharpness. Then I proceeded to cut out 4 pieces of wire. 1 piece of wire went into 2 tentacles, like a V. I also taped over those folded edges to make sure that they weren't sharp. And then I put that V-shaped wire into 2 of the tentacles at a time, making sure that they reached all the way out to the pointy tip. After that, it was time to get out that pillow stuffing and stuff those tentacles. And this took some time, but yeah, once I was done, it looked pretty amazing, right? These are now shapeable because of that wire. So the last step for the skirt is sewing together a waistband and pinning that on. And I pinned it way lower than I intended to because I decided to make this short skirter than I originally did. So I just sewed that waistline on, cut off any excess fabric, and then my 2-piece outfit was done. And it was time to proceed to the final step of the outfit making, which is the necklace and the earrings. For this, I used Fimo clay, which is crafts clay, in yellow and purple, because it's simple and easy and a sturdy material. So I really just used my hands to shape the pointy little purple earrings and kind of a snail-like yellow twisty thing for the necklace. And then I used these earring wires that already have a hoop in them and shoved those into the clay before I let the clay set, making sure that I had something to attach everything to once they were done in the oven. And they baked in the oven for about 15 minutes, which makes them harden. And then I just turned the yellow piece into a necklace and the purple pieces into earrings. I just have these little earring hoops laying around, which is perfect because I can thread them through my stretched earlobes. That was the final step of the process. Stay tuned for the second video where you get to see me do the makeup, the wig, and obviously you get to see a little bit from the expo as well. So stay tuned for that. And remember, do no harm, but take no shits.